For most people, Aloha shirts are about a lifestyle. Fun, relaxed, close to nature. But for Dale Hope, they're a passion. He followed in his father's footsteps and spent most of his career in the Hawaii garment industry. And out of that experience has come a book filled with fascinating Aloha Shirt folklore and celebrating the spirit that continues to make it a fashion icon all over the world. But what is it that makes Aloha Shirt special? Dale's good friend, Tommy Holmes, may have said it best.
Hawaii, awash in romance, marbled by different cultures, saturated with beauty and compelling in contrasts, gave birth over 50 years ago to the Aloha Shirt. There is today probably no better known garment in the world that captures a land's spirit of place. For half a century, the Aloha Shirt has been Hawaii's most enduring and visible greeter and ambassador. Like a lei, the Aloha Shirt is worn as a statement of one's love for and connection to a most special place.
It all began with a gracious lady named Lurleen.
When the people came from the mainland on the Lurleen to Honolulu, and they came off the boat all wearing coats and ties and sophisticated dresses, and they were all dressed up. And after they spent some time here, staying at the Moana or staying at the Royal, they realized looking around that everybody was in Aloha shirts and shorts, and it was much more casual, much more relaxed, and they wanted to fit in and not stand out wearing their silly suits. So they'd ask the Beach Boys, who had taken them surfing or for a ride on the catamarans with Woody Brown in those days, they'd ask them, hey, where do we go get shirts? And sometimes they'd walk them over to their favorite shop and introduce them to the owners, and they would either make them a custom shirt or they would buy a shirt off the rack, which was called in those days ready-made. Who made the first Aloha shirt and who gets all the credit? There was a lady that I talked to that used to have a shop with her husband downtown, Mrs. Musashia, and she told me one day that the movie actor John Barrymore came into her shop around 1935, and he pointed at the kabi crepe, Japanese fabric, and asked to have her make a shirt out of that printed fabric. And when I talked to her, she said, you know, I wouldn't make the first Aloha shirt, but no big deal. And Ellery Chun registered the name in about 1936 or 7, and he also has been given the credit for creating the first Aloha shirt. In the very beginning, the first shirts were all made out of Japanese kimono fabric, and they were all Japanese-inspired prints with Mount Fuji, with people coming down the rivers in bamboo boats. And then the people in Hawaii said, well, instead of Mount Fuji, let's do our own prints, and we'll put in Diamond Head, we'll put in our flowers, we'll put in our ocean scenes with guys in canoes and sailboats, coconut trees and rainbows, and all these wonderful things that we have here. So it was a slow evolution, but that's how it started. So the agents that represented the textile companies in Japan would send them pictures from magazines, and they'd get these pictures back in Japan, and that's how they would interpret what this Hawaii business was all about. And they'd be painting surfers that they really didn't understand, but they saw pictures of them wearing the little woolen bathing suits, and they'd incorporate that, the canoe rides. They'd put all these different things into these new adapted shirts from what they used to do with the Japanese prints. A real Hawaiian shirt had a match pocket, where the pocket actually matched the goods, as opposed to an unmatched pocket that was just thrown on. It took special care to make a match pocket. So with a Hawaiian print, a match pocket, and a label that took you back to made in Hawaii by Malahini or Kahala or Kalakaua or Kamehameha or Kihikihi, some of the makers that made these beautiful, marvelous shirts back in those days. And the real Hawaiian true shirts had coconut buttons. I think it was something that you could really feel assured that you were buying a genuine, authentic Hawaiian shirt. Well, the fan club for Aloha Shirts is going on forever. You know, there's just been movie star after movie star. It's just something everybody gets. You know, in the old days, in the 50s, Hawaiian shirts really weren't that acceptable for business attire, especially downtown in Honolulu. And it took a lot of persuasion with the big businesses, with the banks and with the government to allow their workers to wear Hawaiian print shirts. It started very slowly. You had Aloha Summer, you had Aloha Friday, and there were little bits and test periods where people could try to wear Aloha shirts. But even their bosses, on the day where it was judged okay to wear an Aloha shirt, they'd still show up in coat and ties because they weren't really secure with the idea that somebody would treat them seriously if they were in an Aloha shirt. It'd be like today walking into a fine company wearing a tank top, slippers, and shorts. And in the 60s, there was a guy named Ren McCullough, and he started selling smaller prints in a more of a Brooks Brothers style with a pullover placket, button-down collar. And a lot of them were made on the reverse. And that toned the shirt down. So the visitors would come and buy the bigger, brighter prints, and the locals would wear something that was a little bit more dignified. Today, if you go downtown and you sit there on the corner and you watch everybody go by, they're all wearing a reverse print pullover shirt because they love where they live and they're happy to show their appreciation. And no better way to do it than wearing a Hawaiian shirt. In the beginning days, it was tailor shops, and then there was small manufacturers, and went from tailor-made to factory-made. And in the 50s, there were probably 100 smaller manufacturers, a couple really big ones like Alfred Shaheen. In the 60s and the 70s, there were probably 150 manufacturers. Today, we've got all these new awesome shirt makers. On the Big Island, we have Sig Zane, who's very creative. He's very spiritual in his approach to how he goes and creates his designs. His fabrics are printed here in Honolulu. They're hand done, very much in the way that shirts were printed in the old days. There's another company on Molokai called Kealapico. They're botanists, and they really go after plants that are from Hawaii to use for their reference material for when they create their prints. Roberta Oakes is a new designer in downtown Honolulu with a fun, hip store. She is an avid hiker and artist, and she's bringing back ideas from the mountains and beaches for her new collection. In Hawaii, we have something that we refer to as the Aloha Spirit. It's a special feeling, we call it mana, here in Hawaii. And when you wear an Aloha shirt, you actually put on some portion of that spirit on your back, and it connects you to this wonderful place. You know, if you get into an elevator here in Hawaii, or you get into an elevator in Los Angeles or New York, and you're wearing an Oxford solid shirt, nobody's going to tell you that that weave of that Oxford is so special and tightly woven and so unique. But if you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt, people are going to go, wow, that's a nice shirt. And it happens all the time. People wear the shirts to feel better, to feel relaxed, to put a smile on their face. And you know, when you wear an Aloha shirt, you're really sharing your aloha with the rest of the world and the people that you're with. There's so much more to this story, but that I'll let you read for yourself.